Well, thanks for getting on here with me today. Welcome to Music News and Rumors.
Good to be here.
Can you explain your band's name, SmithField, to everyone?
Jen, you want to take this?
Sure. It's pretty mind-blowing. Jake, are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
Jen Fielder and Trey Smith. It's just our last names combined.
Believe it or not, it actually took us like 3 months to settle on that.
Really?
Yeah, we went through every name in the books, man.
It's a cool band name anyway, but then the fact that it's
you.
your last names combined, I think is even cooler. So
Thank you. Well, we fought really hard for it, so.
Yeah. So a lot of people are going to be wondering, are you married? Are you dating? What's the deal? So
the short answer is no, but the more intricate answer is we have a wonderful musical marriage.
So then how did you meet? Where did y'all meet?
Trey and I have known each other since we were 10 years old. So our families go back 3 generations, and our grandparents went to high school together. Our parents went to high school together, and we did family New Year's Eve parties growing up and 4th of July together. So we met when we were little kids, and we were the entertainment for the family. We got up on the fireplace and sang like we were the biggest stars in the world. Not together. We sang separately our whole lives, but formed SmithField when we were both in college. So it's pretty cool because I think that's what makes us have a special bond and a special chemistry on stage, is just having those roots and growing up together and knowing each other our whole lives. It makes us just really great friends and comfortable, and definitely not afraid to tell each other what we think. That's for sure.
So you're poised to be the first breakout male-female country duo in over a decade, which I think is really exciting that you're bringing back the male-female duo right now, because I feel like we've all been missing that.
It's amazing that you would say that, because I mean that's exactly how we feel, and that's what we're fighting for with this push. Is it's been since Thompson Square that a girl guy duo has really broken out in country music, and so I feel like it's a void that's been missing. That there's been some great girl guy duets in country music, and they've done an amazing job with it, but we haven't had anything from a girl guy duo. And so it's obviously this sound that country music fans want to hear, that they're trying to fill with putting these guys and girls together.
Well, like you said, I mean, there used to be Sugarland and Thompson Square dominating, and now the closest thing as far as bands, you have Lady A and Little Big Town, and you have the band Perry, and you get collaborations between male and female artists, but as far as full-on duos, we want that.
We're a rare breed.
So do we. So do we. I think that's why we fight so hard for it every day, and why we're so passionate about that. We're obviously passionate about our own music, but just passionate about filling that void and that slot that's been missing for so long. And it's been a part of country music for 50 years. I mean, it's a needed and a wanted sound. So I hope that we can break that glass ceiling and open up the doors again.
You got selected to be on the iHeart Women of Country playlist, so that's a pretty big accomplishment. So that gives you so much more exposure, and you're getting radio play all across the country. So what has that been like for y'all?
It's always so gratifying when someone recognizes you that way, and it's a big, very flattering. So when we found out we got that initiative, it was pretty awesome to hear our song on the radio. I'm not gonna lie.
How did growing up in Waxahachie, Texas, help shape you into the artist you are today?
I think being from a small town, going back to our roots, our bond and our chemistry, like I was saying earlier, is so special. You can't manufacture that. You can't practice and get there. It's just something that I think is God-given, but also a testament to just us growing up together and coming from the same small town. We're so comfortable with each other. It allows us to be more open in our writing process. It allows us to feel extremely comfortable together on stage, and it creates that chemistry that Trey and I just naturally have. And people ask where that comes from, and I always say it's our roots. It's where we grew up. It's who we are. It's not something that you can fake.
Who are some artists that inspired each of you growing up that you look up to now?
We've both been through quite the musical journey. I started out as a little kid just worshiping Garth Brooks, like most kids of the early 90s did. And I went through like a 80s hair band phase, and one of my favorite bands of all time till the day I die is the Goo Goo Dolls, always and forever. Iris, one of my favorite songs of all time. And Keith Urban was the guy that really got me back into country music, because he brought this kind of rock flavor to what he did, and I associated very closely with it because at the time I was in a rock band. So I kind of realized, hey, what I do can exist in country music too, and it's part of what I love.
Yeah, for me, I grew up singing country music since I was 9 years old, and I sang on the same show that LeAnn Rimes did as a little girl, and so I idolized her and really wanted to be like her. And she was one of my greatest heroes in country music. And then Faith Hill, and then Shania. And so I draw a lot of inspiration from those women, from their fashion, from how they carry themselves and conduct their music and their business. And so those three women were probably my biggest influences growing up, for sure.
I think both of you picked some great people to model after.
it made a good blend.
Yeah.
Yes, it sure did.
And it's evident in the music how you combine those influences, because you have the rock element and you have the country element, and there's that soulfulness that you have from the Shanias and that era. But then you've also got the grittier side of like the Garths.
Well, thank you.
So Jennifer, you said that you come from like a more traditional country background, and Trey, you come from the more rock and roll background. So when you're in the studio and when you're writing songs together, is that just a very natural way that you mesh those two sounds together, or how do you go about balancing that out?
Yeah, I feel like we both bring our strengths in the writer's room, and Trey and I usually try to start with an idea first, or just a title, kind of a concept, and they're not all good, but at least we always come prepared. But Trey's really great with melodies. For instance, our song "Hey Whiskey," that was an idea I brought into the room with the other guys, and my melody was not great. It was very old sounding. I mean, really, it sounded like it was from like the 80s probably. And Trey's the one who came up with the melody on the guitar and made it even better. And so I just think that's what makes us such a great team, is like, we make each other better, and whatever our weaknesses are, we cancel each other's weaknesses out. So yeah, I feel like that process is different every time. Sometimes we have the idea, and sometimes Trey has the melody, but sometimes it's just through conversation. Like our current single, "Something Sexy," was just me and Trey talking about how we really needed something sexy on this record. And then our co-writer said, well, why don't we just write that? So the process is always different. We both bring different strengths to the table. And that's kind of the fun part, is you just never know what you're going to get that day, who's going to bring what and who's going to do what. So
right now, what are some songs you're listening to that you just love?
Ooh, that's a good question. I dig the new John Mayer and Maren Morris song. But I just love John Mayer, so pretty much anything he dips his hands into, I'm going to be a fan of. And Maren's awesome too. So I mean, it was a cool collaboration.
Mine's kind of fun. Mine's funky, Jake. So during this whole like time of pushing music and talking to people and interviews and show and just everything that we have going on right now, I tend to get a little stressed. So instead of filling my mind with more like newer music, you're gonna laugh, I listen to happy jazz, like in my car while I'm cooking. If I go for a walk.
Every time I get into her car, it's jazz music.
That's just the season I'm in right now. Now that'll change, and I'll get back into what's going on actually in the real music world. But jazz is just.
So look for a SmithField Jazz album coming soon.
I've been crushing it. That's all I'm listening to lately.
The EP is titled New Town. Can you explain what that title means to you and why you chose it to be the title for the entire project?
Yeah. Obviously, I'll rewind just a second to give you the full story, but obviously 2020 didn't really go as everyone planned, including for us. We had plans to go into the studio, record music, and then, release it pretty quickly after. Obviously, we had to delay those plans. But we said from the very get-go that this next chapter of what we did needed to be, not to be cliche, but we called it SmithField 2.0, or like, you think you know what we're about, but like we want it to evolve into the thing that it was always meant to be. And if you listen to the title track song, it's about knowing a town or thinking you know a town like the back of your hand, but it's just a whole new place when you experience it with somebody you love. So we kind of took that idea and changed it over into like this new version of Smithfield. It's a brand new town. You think you know what we're about, but it's going to be a brand new experience with this EP. So that's why we called it Newtown.
Our Nashversary, we call it, was last week. And going into your 10th year, you know, the saying that was always told to us before we moved here was like, oh, it's a 10-year town. Like, if you're not willing to give it 10 years, don't even move here and try this. And that's such a scary thought, to be like, oh my gosh, I've got to give 10 years of my life with no guarantee. You know, it's a very, very scary thing, but I'm proud of us for embracing it and going into our 10th year. You know, we're hoping for bigger and better things with this music. And so I think it will like feel like a new town as Smithfield grows and as Smithfield brings on more team members, and hopefully the music really takes off. You know, it's going to feel like a new town for sure.
You're going to be playing Third and Lindsley in Nashville. So are you excited to get to play for that live crowd at that really great venue?
Yes, it's been a while. We got a lot of rehearsals in the next week and kind of shaking the dust off, but it's going to be amazing, man. It's full capacity. You know, it's going to feel for the first time since everything went down like a normal show. And I think that might be what I'm the most excited about.
Yeah, I mean, we've played the Opry during the pandemic, and that was kind of weird, and you know, because it was limited capacity and you're not hanging out backstage with everybody, everything's so restricted. So we've played that, and we've played you know, the Christmas show, again, limited capacity. So as Trey said, like, this really truly is the first show we'll be playing as a normal show, having a meet and greet and having people come backstage and say hi and hugging, and people can come up close. It's like, that is just going to be, live performance is my favorite part of the whole thing that we do, because that's just what I grew up doing, and that's what I feel like is really like my strength as an artist is a live performance with Trey. And so to be able to do that and not have that for the last year and a half is a very like satisfying, exciting. I'm nervous. I haven't been nervous for a show in a long time, you know, so very, very excited for it.
How long have you been sitting with this set of songs?
So
about a year.
We recorded, this is actually an interesting story. So we were in the studio here in Nashville recording this music the week that everything started to shut down with the pandemic. So like already in our session, some of the guys were starting to wear masks. And at that point, everything hadn't come out. So we were just like, why are people wearing masks? And literally a few days after we did it, they shut down the studio and everything just went into, you know, shutdown mode. You know, at that point we had no idea what was going to happen. And, you know, everyone was canceling their tours and delaying things. And so we just had to sit on them.
Well, I think that just about does it. Thank y'all for getting on here. Thank you for fitting me into your schedule and talking to me.
Thanks, Jake. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having us.
Bye.
Bye, guys.